a thought in your mind, if you're working somewhere, if you're an employee, and there's something that has been, just giving you sleepless nights, or there are some thoughts in your mind that you just need answers to, please feel free to raise your hand or just type your questions, and then we'll be willing to answer you. The session for me was very, very insightful, and Mo and and DMD Books are two of my favorite people. So just listening to them speak from share from their wealth of knowledge warmed my heart. And the fact that, just seeing Mo do all of the things that she does, still does her events gigs excellently, and then she's still able to serve, just one of the things that really blows my mind. And you can tell that Mo was speaking from a place of, it's not theory to her, it is practical. So she knows this stuff. She knows her onions. And for her to be able to speak about being an indispensable employee, it means something. Like, she's actually doing the work. She has what? Walked the path, right? Yeah. So it'll be great to see if you have your questions. If you have any thoughts that you'd like to share, any learning points, and we will take them from here. I would like to say a few things as we're either typing or preparing ourselves to ask our questions. I know you probably heard people say, nobody is indispensable. Oh. If you leave today, they'll hire somebody tomorrow. Or if you fall sick on the job, God forbid, somebody else will take your place. You probably heard that before. And yes, so there's some truth on the inside of it. But when people say stuff like that, they are telling you that you don't put all your eggs inside one basket. Don't put all your energy inside this work. Don't be your papa, get the work. So don't even do this work like this, right? But it's not I don't think that is a seed that you want in your heart. I would always say put in your best, and that best is 100%. Every employer expects 100%. That's the expectation. I expect that you do your work well. That's my expectation. But many times they don't expect the extra that the employee puts into the work. So that extra 10%, that extra 20%, that extra 1% would go a long way. Many times, they might not tell you thank you for the work that you're doing. Many times, you will not get a pat on the back. Many times, you might not get a promotion because of that extra 10%. But see, all of these things would always speak in the future. I love how Mo said that, I wrote it down somewhere, that if you're able to get your 9 to 5, well, that's what she was talking about, working in a toxic environment, that this thing that you get from 9 to 5 is transferable, and it makes so much sense. All right. I don't want to preach another sermon, but I really, really would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts? If you have any questions, I'm hoping that you have questions. You should have questions. Do you have any questions? Or should I ask my question? I don't know if today is one of the days that we have. Oge has a question. Okay, you raising up your hand. I must have missed that. All right, Oge, you can type your question, please. Oge Jim. I don't know if today is the day, one of the days that we can do giveaways, but if people are not.
I'm typing, it's a bit long.
Okay. As we're waiting for Oge to type, if you don't have a question, may I have questions though? And maybe if Pastor Dami permits me, maybe we can give one prize to somebody this afternoon. All right. I have a couple of other things that I would like to share from the session. So maybe I'll do that right now. All right. So Modipa talked about bringing value, right? And she said that many times you might not exactly, so how I interpreted it, say you got a job as a personal assistant and maybe that's your first job. And I think that when employers employ new staff, that maybe it's possibly their first job, I think somewhere at the back of their minds, they know that this person probably might not know how to use some certain tools or might not know how to do some certain things like 100%, but they're giving you a chance to even grow in that space, right? The value that you bring into the space, you might not exactly know what it would be eventually, but there's something that I learned when I worked in corporate. So my boss then used to say, or she said to us that even when we went out for trainings, she would say that every employer has a need. Every superior, every leader, every team leader has a need. There's just something extra that they have to do that they haven't done on their to-do list. And how do you bring value to that, your leader? How do you bring value to your employer? So she always say that it's always somehow if you come and say, please come and teach me how to write a letter. Oh, I saw you doing this. Come on, can you show me how to do it? Many times they might not exactly come to you to say, come and learn how to do this thing, right? So what's the best approach to that? So they'll, how do I say this? Most leaders, most employers, there is the work that you're doing might not give you access to the type of information that they have, right? So they might be weary as to what to teach you or as to what to expose to you. So, but if you came or come to your leader to say, oh, do you need help with anything? I saw you doing this yesterday. Can I help you with that? Oh, tomorrow is this. Can I assist you in doing this thing? That I don't, maybe 80% of the time, they would actually give you the work to do, and then they will show you how to do it. Your employer possibly has a way they type their letters. Your employer possibly has a way that they chat with their customers. Your employer possibly has a way that that's how your employer thinks and reasons, right? And for you to give value to your boss, to your team lead, you need to know how they think. You need to know how they reason. So you go to them, how can I help you? And they will be open and willing to guide you on the process, right? Mo also talked about taking ownership. Yes. Biba said, or make an attempt to do the work and learn from the correction. Yes. Yeah. Mo also talked about taking ownership of your growth. And I think that's the part that many of us sometimes, I don't know if it's laziness or sometimes we don't really care, or sometimes, I don't know, like put your mind inside of it, right? And growth can mean different things to different people. The thing is that if you're not growing, what's the point of being in that space? If you're not learning something new, what's the point? Um, I've worked, I've been on the two sides. I've been an employee and I've also been an employer. And I know what it means to be an indispensable employee. I know how much energy I put into my work when I worked in corporate. And that same and all of the things that my boss exposed me to. If you've heard me share this several times at different occasions, you know that most of the things I learned at my last job is what I've taken into what I'm doing now. And the things that I took into serving at King's as well. I don't have any accounting background, but in my last job, I did accounting work. We did a lot of presentations. We went to meetings, went to banks. We had meetings with executives. So all of the extras that come into how I do my work now, I learned it at my last job. How I type my letters, the way that I present myself, the way that I speak. I didn't think that I was the best communicator. But I just learned all of that, how to command persons. I learned that. I might not be the best at it, but I know it's in my head. So all of these things, you can learn a lot on your job. All right, let us take Oge's question. Oge says, how do we navigate favoritism in the workplace? Case scenarios. I worked on a document and got not so good feedback. After some time, entire project, including said document, was moved to someone else. I handed over everything, including already made changes based on feedback and other suggested areas to change. However, next presentation, the person presented the exact same old document, not a full sub change, and the feedback was, looks good, well done. Other case scenarios where it's like a very big deal when it looks like my fault, but the moment it's clear it wasn't, case is dismissed and issue dies like it's a small problem. It's an interesting question, and I think I might have a thought, but I would want our bosses in the chat box to please answer the question. So I have a couple of them here. All right, Princess Oti has a thought. Would you want to unmute your mic?
Yes, I can unmute. Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Hello, Princess Pounds and Dollars. Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's good to be here. So for Oki's question, first of all, thank you, Mo and Kola, for an amazing session. It was really, really, really useful. So back to the question. I would say, because personally, I do think that all these things in the corporate world leave some kind of is a footprint. So where I see that, or where you see that you've done some work and then somebody else then does the exact same work, or does the exact same thing word for word, and then they get different feedback, or they actually maybe copy what you've done, I would say that in this scenario, mention it. Well, obviously with wisdom, because you don't be like, oh, this is so you have to be able to be extremely wise in the way you approach it. But I would say it has to be mentioned. And in a situation where, for example, where she said that there was a big deal that was like her fault, but then it was then dismissed like it was a small problem when it was there, it was not really her fault, right? Again, this has been on record. So because if tomorrow somebody refers to it and you didn't kind of like set the record straight, and you kind of look like you are incompetent or you're not as efficient as you are. So I would say because of record's sake, and because of the fact that that you don't want to have this image or perception of this person that you're not, you need to be able to, even if it's in a non-contentious way, mention these things. It could be in a meeting where everyone is and you're like, oh, but this is actually what I have worked in as well. But then you're saying it in a way that is not contentious, but you're saying it has to be in record. Or so I think somebody at some point last week asked, had this exact same scenario where she was like, somebody did something and then it was passed as her fault. And then eventually it was seen that it was not really her fault, but then everyone kept quiet. I was like, no, go and write that email that this is what happened, because everyone in the company had seen that it was her fault, quote and unquote. Then they said that it was not really her fault. Then everyone kept, I was like, no, write that email. And then copy, because people at the meeting, were there when you were blamed, but then when it became exonerated, they were not there. Just only you and the person. So you write email, right? Because the record has to be straight, so that tomorrow they won't refer to that as your fault when it really wasn't your fault. So records are really, really important. So that's what I think. Mentioning, but with wisdom, don't go and fight and be doing Yokozuna in your workplace. But yeah, that's my take.
So, so good. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Pastor Dami mentioned this morning, he talked about intelligence. We even prayed about it. So there's a wisdom that comes when you share. He talked about politics and how do you say it, military sense, right? So there's just how this thing plays out in the workplace. So like Princess mentioned, I just pray you have wisdom to know how to manage it and navigate it because it would seem tough and it would seem like, yeah, a lot. But like you said, just go for it, make things clear, you know, this is what you did and you did it well, right? Yeah, and I pray you have wisdom to manage those scenarios well. Awesome. Motupe says, absolutely love your perspective, Princess. As an add-on, the approach is important. You can go from the angle of wanting to learn what you did wrong. If your own document that made your colleagues document better so that you can take learning and not repeat such, just so you get clarity and why it happened. Awesome. Hope you understand that. Okay. What I think she said that it was literally the same document that the person shared. Um, yeah. But if like the scenario is different and yeah, there's something that you actually did wrong or something that maybe your colleague is doing something different, maybe you should just look out for it. Is her approach different? Is her style of presentation different? What is she doing that is making her the boss's favor? Something, right? Just look out for it. Yeah. Um, any more questions? Anyone want to share their thoughts and perspectives? I know that we have a couple of corporate bosses in the house. If there's anyone that would like to share. I'm trying to go through the chat box. I know Picasa is here, Minister BBT, GMD Jones. If you have any thoughts that you would like to share. Eva had a question. Pardon me, I must have missed it. Let me see. Okay, Biba asks, how can we encourage team members to take ownership of their growth or work? It's a very good question. I have answer, but yeah, I have answer, but it might be harsh. How can we encourage team members to take ownership of their growth, to take ownership of their work? Would anybody love to share thoughts on this? Momo, would you like to answer us, please? How would you,
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
good afternoon. I like your accent.
So for this question, I believe the major responsibility would be on the leader to cascade the big picture to the employees, right? Such that they understand how they play a role in the big picture. For example, if in my own department or industry and I'm trying to plan an event, right? I would have to cascade the objective, what I want to achieve in that event to the vendors, to the ushers, to the people carrying the wood, so that they understand that this wood that you're carrying, there's an ultimate goal, right? And then they can now try to see how they fit into that ultimate goal. And if they do not now fit into that goal, then it will now be, a conversation of, are you really a great fit for this role or for this organization, right? But first off, you need to try to paint that big picture. And as leaders, it's a skill that we really need to, have. So that's my take.
Yeah, that's so awesome and so true. If you've been in the house long enough, you know that pastors, leaders, they constantly reiterate the big picture, the vision, what it is that we are about. And it's the same thing if you're a leader in any space. It is just proper that you do that because employees are human beings, and sometimes we forget. Sometimes the vision will slip away. Sometimes we forget, and it's just always nice that it is reiterated over and over and over. All right, Princess has a comment. Please share, and then we'll take FM's question.
Hi, people. Hi again.
Hi.
I think I'll throw in video as well. Might as well. Hi,
Yeah,
people.
that's your face.
So I think to add to what was said about big picture, which is great and absolutely true, but some people can't really see that big picture because maybe where they're coming from, they don't have that capacity to see that big pictures many times. So what I would usually do or say is trying to like break that down into like small actionable goals. But then again, not everyone has time for this for every employee because you don't even understand, there can be 10, 15 people in your team that you can't really do this for one by one. But I would say generally just kind of break that big picture into, show them how step A can lead to step B, step C, and then see how they contribute towards the company's larger goal or vision. Right. So that's something I would generally do. And mostly when you're working with people that are really young, fresh from school, maybe NYSC grads or people that are just trying to get through the ladder of the corporate ladder generally. So it's just about really, really being granular about how you show or how you explain or pass the value down to them. And in many cases, you may not even see like instant results because it feels like it takes you a while to get into the person's head, consciousness or whatever. But ultimately, just consistently showing again, not everyone has, because really it takes effort, it takes time. So not everybody has this kind of time to do that. But if you have the opportunity to actually grow a small team I have a team I have someone that started working with me a few months ago. He just fresh from school, fresh from NYSC, actually currently NYSC at the moment, but then he came like didn't know anything. But I think right now he's someone that I would say is one of my strongest team members because from just fresh from school, he's able to see the big picture broken down to him in his, initially small mind into smaller goals, and that he can understand how that contributes to what he wants to be in the next 5 years or the next 10 years. Because I always ask them, like, in 5 years, what's your plan? Then I can kind of then show them how what they're doing now can contribute to that 5-year or 10-year plan. So that's one way that we can then break down big picture to team members, just kind of let them, I guess, be more inspired or be more reactive to the goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Princess, for sharing. Makes so much sense. Oge Ophidy added also that she thinks sometimes people don't know what's expected and they need to be told in very clear terms. Some people really don't know how to take initiative. So a document that spells what it is they are expected to do, KPIs essentially, I believe it would make taking ownership easier. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, can we take FM's question?
Okay, thank you very much, Pastor Uche. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so my question, I'm going to give an example for instance, my office, for me, I like to be very straightforward, honest. Sometimes it looks like I'm a rebel when I do that. So things may not be going well in the office. And then if I try to speak out, like every other person, let's tell our boss this thing is not going well, or what he did doesn't sit well with us, or something like that. And we all agree. And then when we go to him, nobody is speaking. And then when I speak, and I'm like, we all agreed, everybody is backing out. And in my head, so how do I handle issues like that? Because it now feels like I'm always going against my boss's sometimes what he tells us to do. And most times when we do that, we fail when we take his advice, or when we go ahead with what he tells us to do. We fail, we make mistakes, things doesn't go well. So how do I handle issues like that? Because it's tiring, it's exhausting to always be in a space like that. I've always wanted to leave because of issues like this, but then again, I just feel like I need to be here to finish. I have a project I want to complete before I leave. So how do I handle not being a rebel just because I'm trying to be straightforward or honest?
That's a great question. Bosses in the house, if you have responses to that, quickly, so it will help us with our response. Are you a leader at your job?
Yes, I'm the team lead I'm the head technician for my company.
So in the hierarchy of the leadership, how far are you from the boss? Or how near are you the boss?
Okay. Apart from my boss and the co-founder, I am the next person who has stayed longer in the office, in the company, and yeah.
So does that mean that you have that your position is like you can handle things after your boss, like you're the next in command?
Yes, after my boss and the co-founder.
Is you. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I'm opening up the question to the house. Anyone have any responses to FM? How will she manage this? Her boss's advice doesn't go well. And when she tries to rally her people to meet the boss, they shrink and they don't respond. How does she not look like a rebel every time they approach the boss? How will she manage this? Anyone have a thought? Before someone shares, I have a thought. I think that most employers or bosses would not exactly want to be attacked on the advice on their. So if you gather the employees to talk about an advice that the boss had given, that this is not how, I don't think that is a great approach. If you have leadership, if you're in leadership, I think it's just best that you approach the boss one-on-one instead of gathering everybody else to have a conversation with him. Because in my head, it would look like you're protesting, or you're trying to fight him, or you're trying to undermine his abilities as a leader, as the boss. So if you have a chance, or if based on your leadership in your job and you're able to approach your boss, you're able to speak with him, he cascades information to you, or work that you're supposed to cascade to your subordinates. I believe that it's okay if you ask for one-on-one conversation with him, and then you share your thoughts with him, why you think that there's just a way to communicate. Hello, boss. Thank you so much for sharing, communicating all of that. We're all excited about this new initiative, something like that. And then you can say, we tried this last week, and this was the result we got. I'm thinking, what if we use this approach instead? I think that would sit better in his head. It just looks better. I think is a better approach to handling this than gathering the rest of the subordinates. Because many times the subordinates will not think like you think. They're not thinking like their own is just that this did not work. Everybody they just come to fight, or I think it's best that you, if you're able to speak to your boss one-on-one, and then you cascade the information to your colleagues in a way that, that's how leaders just think. There's a way leaders communicate. Don't be that leader that said, this is not working. What the boss said is, it not work. Oh. You're meant to have your bosses back. Since you're in leadership, have your bosses back. Yeah, communicate these things well. Anyway, let's see. Yeah, Oge said that yes, they prefer you to come to them directly. Mo said, yeah, I think more one-on-one conversation with the boss as a representative of the team might work better. You don't even necessarily need the whole team to back you with their presence in these conversations. You as the leader can speak with him alone to cascade the thoughts of the team. Yes, 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 yes. Ogor Chukwu says gathering other subordinates is giving Lucifer. What is that? But I get you. Fumi says, ma'am, sincerely, I've tried that approach. When I do that, he will call everyone and tell them what you said. I'm not sure I understand that. You've tried to speak with him one-on-one and he doesn't listen, or what?
Yes, so when I try that, if I go to him personally and tell him, okay, boss, this is it, what should we do? I think this approach is not going well. He would say, okay, no problem. I'll get back to you. And the getting back is everybody gather. So Fumi said this approach did not work. Do you think it's true? Why didn't it work? This and that. And then everybody's like, I'm expecting that, boss, I came to you personally so we can resolve this issue, not going to everybody. Or sometimes he goes to everybody one after the other and starts to tell them, this is what she said, this is what she said. And most times he's not in office to see these things work out because we are the one handling the office. He's not with that. He doesn't even know.
Sorry, when he asked your people that did not work, they say yes, it did not work.
They try to be diplomatic about with their answers. Like, well,
it's the subordinate issue now. It's not really a you and your boss thing, I think, because if they're not saying the truth, then maybe you should drop it. To be honest, because it just feels like you're the only one that is trying to do the right thing. No, don't drop in a sense that you should continue as in with the mistakes, but like continue talking to your boss directly. If your people are not seeing it how you're seeing it, I'm not sure how that would work. For this one, we need the Holy Spirit manifestation, because really your people are the ones that are not trying to help in this matter. So do they have your back? Do they really want to do the right thing? That's the questions that you now want to start asking. Yeah. Okay, Ophelia, do you want to talk about this or you have a question? Princess,
This,
also,
please.
do you want to add to this or you have a question?
To add to this.
Okay, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I was just going to say that another thing to consider, FM, is that you might want to know how your boss receives information. And to know that, you might need to know his personality as a leader. And maybe this is a lot of work, but it would help. Is he the sort of person that he needs concrete proof that this is not working? Does he need data? As in, he doesn't need hearsay. He needs, oh, look at it here. It didn't work. Because for someone that is going to ask other colleagues, he's looking like he's trying to gather data on the thing that you have given to him or said didn't work, right? So this might be his way or how he processes or makes decisions about things. You might also want to know how does he receive feedback. Um, this would mean that you're observing, has someone in the organization ever brought something to him that flew, that worked, that after the person gave the feedback, he implemented based off of what the person said. This might also help you know how he, one, receives information slash feedback and the sort of information that he's willing to receive and implement. Now, if you've done all of this, and you've checked yourself as well in terms of your tone of communication, how you're saying what you're saying, even though you mean well, how is the best way for this person to receive? Because there's a part where feedback, as much as feedback is great, it's also important that you're giving feedback in the way that the person can receive the feedback as good enough. So if you've done all of this, and maybe he's still like, okay, I'm the head of this company, you can't tell me nothing, then maybe it is his own growth area. He's not probably teachable, and that would, in some way affect the growth of the organization. But you need to check that you've done, all of this. Yeah.
That is so good. Thank you for sharing that. Let's do something, but I'll not say. I'll say it in the DM. All right, thank you for sharing that. FM, is this good for you? All right, she said she would do that. Hi, Jay. Did I say that right? You have a question relating to this. Do you want to unmute your mic?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, so relating to this has been something that I've been like dealing with for a while because when we say, okay, let's go and report this thing, when we get there, I'll not be the only one to talk. They will be looking at me as if we didn't plan this thing together. Then there was I cannot say I work in the corporate space. My work is kind of a bit different. I cannot say I work in the office space, but anywhere you work is an office. So when we go to the boss and be like, this is what is happening, they allow me talk and I'll sound like the bad person. Then when I go to her privately, she'll say something else. And when she's coming out to like address the matter, she'll still be painting me as the bad person, as if you are the only stubborn person here. And I've tried, I'm the last person to come off rude to anybody. But they'll still make me sound as if I'm the bad person. I'm only saying things that are not comfortable for me because it's a working space. You need to be conducive and you need to express yourself, I guess. But they're not letting me express myself. They're making me feel like I'm the bad person, I'm the troublesome one here. And it has been something that has been bothering me for a long time. And I'm really happy that they really brought it on here because I really don't know what to do, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question or your concern. But I think that everyone has answered it to some extent, what you should do and the approach you should take. So this thing, just apply wisdom and take the feedback from what Oge has shared earlier. It's just a way of communicating. There's a way of giving feedback and probably a way of receiving feedback. So just observe and, just, yeah, know how to manage these things, right? Okay. I Hi, hey. You said you've done everything, but thank you. Okay, I pray you have wisdom to manage, and it's a dicey situation, but I pray you have wisdom to know what to do and how to do it in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? Any points that they would like to share? anything that is probably like off from the things that we've shared that you think you have a different perspective on. All right. Hi, hey, Princess shared a comment for you in the chat box. You can read it. Mrs. B, are you talking to us?
Did you mention Gabriel?
No, I heard Mrs. B's voice, and I thought she was trying to speak. Do you have something to say, share with us?
I think we've passed it. It was about Fumi's stuff, but there's a new question now, so maybe I can tell Fumi in person some other time.
No, you can share with us because the question she shared is similar to Fumi's question, but maybe your perspective might be just what she needs.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. So I wanted to say that in addition to what Uche said, maybe I should start from there first, is yes, when you are working in an environment where you report to people that report to people that report to people, or in this case, you are reporting directly to the owner of the company. First, we have to understand that every man, depending on how much they've worked on themselves, have egos. And the way you have to figure out the best way to communicate in a way that appeals to the interest of that person in a very clear, concise, and considerate matter, which is what Uche said. One thing that has worked for me is to first ask the person, when you want me to give you updates, Saoma, how do you prefer it? Do you want me to write it? Do you want me to have a face-to-face conversation? Do you want me to present it to you with justification? So maybe I need to design slides and do all of those things. They should be the ones to guide. Sometimes the best way we can do it is we communicate to them mouth to mouth, but it's not staying in them because they're possibly thinking of several other things. But if you send like an email or something, they can always go back to it for reference. And that's one thing that I do that works. The second thing I want to say is to also try and understand what is priority to this person at this time. So yes, you might have an absolutely great idea, but maybe your boss at that moment is possibly thinking of how can I bring in more things to make more money? And you are talking to him about staff well-being. It might not align at that moment. So also trying to figure out what is priority to your boss and then communicating in that line is an excellent way to also get him to buy into your ideas. And thirdly, on a matter, if you guys are discussing something and it brings up a point, it most likely wants you to go in that direction. I think that no matter how much you think that this may not work, do it first. If it doesn't work, record it. When I mean record, I don't mean record with your phone, like keep record of how it failed. So that when you're communicating with him, you're not communicating from I told you so, he failed, no. But you're like, sir, you told us to do this. Thank you, data. Thank you, Mrs. B. Data. You tried this, it did not work well, sir. So we were supposed to get 50 people, but when we used your method, we got 20. I suggest or recommend, sir, that what if we try this way? Let's see if we can push beyond 20. Since we've gotten 20, that's a baseline, and we are going to 50. Let's try this idea, sir. Maybe it can push us to like another extra 10 or extra 30. Who knows, we may get to 50. When you present it that way on a data that already exists from a methodology that he brought in the first place, he sees that you are trying to collaborate and contribute as opposed to opposing him, if you get what I mean. So those are three things. Figure out how he wants you to communicate with him. Figure out what is topmost in his mind per time. And then finally, figure out how to do what he wants you to do first, get data, and then build on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. God's Power, for sharing. That's so awesome. Hi, hey, FM. I hope these points are very, 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 very clear to you and you know how to use them. All right, so we're about to round it off, and I have a couple of questions to ask you all. And I hope the Lord will breathe in your in your answers, because I'm going to use those answers for some giveaways. All right. My first question. Okay, before I ask my questions, okay, Jim has something to say initially. Where is it? She said, we talked about not doing eye service, but I observed yesterday that maybe eye service pays sometimes. Is there some truth to this? Could it be politics, intelligence we prayed about this morning? I don't say I don't know, but I think I have a thought. Eye service. Eye service is the negative side to this thing, right? But that's how you can be at your job, that you're doing excellently at your job, and you're putting in the extras that might look like eye service. It might look like that. If you know personally that I'm doing my best, I'm putting extra just because. There's something that Pastor Dami said this morning, and he said something about don't be great at your job and then you're not great at your or at church, at serving at church, or don't be great at serving at church and then you're not excellent at your workplace. You want to really be that person that when you're doing your work, right? You want to look like, see, I cannot do without this person. As in, your boss is looking at you and wondering, like, where is Oge Ejim on this project? The thing that does not even, is not your business. They want to put you on that project. The things that don't concern you, why is Oge Ejim not there? Because you have put yourself out there, you've put in the extras, right? Other people would perceive it as ITK, but deep down in your heart, you know that it is not. And there are times, I mean, we're in an interesting world. People would not, people would always talk extras about the things that you're doing, right? If you know deep down on your inside that it's not eye service, it's just the extra. You're being diligent in your work. You're fully committed. You know that, see, because you are here, you're putting in the extra, right? Yeah, go for it. Go for it. And don't think about what other people would say. Don't let their perspective sway you from the work that you're doing and the extras that you're putting into the work. My 2 cents. That's what I think. If anyone has an opposing opinion or just extra they would like to add, please share. There was something that I learned a long time ago, and I believe it was my former boss that said it. She said that your in your workplace, there's a spotlight already on you, right? So it is your stage, and how you perform on that stage is left for you. That spotlight is constantly shining under your stage, on that platform, on your job. And if you want that spotlight to shine as bright, you have to put in the extra. And the thing is, with employers, they have expectations. But that extra, like I said earlier, the extra that you bring to the table, they don't expect it. So that wow factor that you bring into your work, I think everybody should have that. Everybody should have that. Everybody should have that, right? The little extra that you're doing, it would add up at the end of the day. Yeah. So if you're the extra person in the job, why not do it? That's what I think. All right.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. I put up my
Yes,
hand, but I
Minister
guess you
B.
didn't see it.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Amazing thought. Thank you, everyone. It's been a very, very great time so far. I just wanted to add something to what you already said. I mean, you took most of the things I wanted to say already. I just wanted to say that, yes, the eye service thing, we hear it a lot in the workplace, blah, 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 blah. But I think where we should be looking at the focus for us, you know, basically is the visibility part. Now, the part around eye service that we really should not look at, and then why we should not pay attention to eye service as it is, because it's fake. Because people who do eye service are actually doing something to get something, and that is not their real self. Let me give a scenario. You have two people who are doing the work. Okay, maybe one person is really doing the work, but when the boss is around, the other person tries to be all over the place just to ensure that the boss gets a seat. So for us as Christians, what we need to look at is the visibility. You have to be visible. You can't say you're doing the work and you just want to keep it like that. Your work will speak for you. My brother, speak for yourself. If you need to be visible about your work, please ensure that you look for strategic ways to ensure that you are being seen. It's a lesson I had to learn. For some of us, maybe from the last Sunday's sermon, apologies for those who weren't part of the service. Some of us suffered from ACE. ACE is that actually affected how we work. And you just don't want to be out there. You just want to do your things low key. My people, if you are in a 9 to 5, you need to be visible. People need to see that you're doing a great work. And again, anticipate, like GB said, anticipate what matters to your leadership, and ensure that that is the part that you are showcasing. You might have great ideas and other things, but that part that is very important to the leadership, that is important to the balance sheet, the P&L and everything, that is the part that you should put forward. Let everybody see it, so that it's not a case of you trying to prove yourself when decisions have been made. No. And another part is, you do your work with integrity. At the end of the day, everybody is going to see it if you keep being at it. They say politicking, the politics at work and all of that. If you do what you have to do, please keep. I mean, everybody would see it. And if you must play with purpose as well. Like if there is a meeting that you need to speak up, speak up, speak up. As in, like if you have to speak up, speak up. It's not eye service. It's intentional positioning. Let's call it that. Intentional positioning, strategic positioning, because the person who is heard is the person who gets the recognition, is the person who gets spoken about in meetings where big decisions are being made. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much. Pastor Dami also shared a comment. He puts the Bible verse in the chat. Matthew 5:14-16. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. That spotlight shining. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand. And it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they might see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Ensure you're properly positioned, a city set upon a hill. Go for high service, not just eye service. Glory to God. Thank you so much, Pastor Dami. Thank you so much, Minister BBT. All right, I have a couple of questions. We have 3 minutes left to who in this house is working or has worked in a toxic environment? Nobody has asked any okay, I don't know if FM's question might seem like it's toxic, hey, English, but you know what I mean. Is there anybody that is currently working in a toxic environment? Is there anyone that has worked in a toxic environment? How did you manage it? Maybe somebody needs help right now. Please, we need answers. How do they navigate? I know that Mo shared a few things, but how should give us practical examples on how to manage being in a toxic environment. As you're gathering your thoughts, is this Mrs. Arolowa Ni Mayago? She said, I'll say there are different things to consider. The kind of leader and person the leader is, what is at stake? Your feedback, suggestion, is it beneficial to the organization? If it's not implemented, what would happen? How the person wants feedback, or if the person wants feedback at all. If your boss is work focused and you are bringing a people related problem, it may not be received. Yeah, I think GB said that. If your boss is profit driven and big on saving costs and you are bringing a suggestion that will make them spend money, it may not go well. If you're big on growth as much as your boss is and your feedback is growth driven or motivated and you are sure your boss wouldn't receive it, there is a lot to consider. The leader, you, the employee, the suggestion itself, how you present the issue. And with that, to put a full stop on that question. Thank you all for sharing. So yeah, to my question, anyone working in a toxic environment right now, or anyone has worked in a toxic environment, how did you manage it? What was going through your head? Were there times where you just wanted to pull your head out? Were there times where you just be looking and scanning everybody in your environment with the lenses of judgments? How did you manage it? I need feedback, answers. I know that most people in corporates right now would say that their work is toxic. To be honest, I did not know what toxic work environment was until now that people talk about it a lot. To be honest, there are things that played out in my workplace that I didn't really think about as being toxic until now. Like everything just seems like it's toxic. Toxic bosses, toxic colleagues. What is going on? Right? And then when I worked, I mean, there are days when my boss would show up very late, and when she shows up, that's when work will start. I mean, we'll complain, oh, madam, why, but we shall still do the work, shall. I mean, I didn't think about work then as being toxic. I just thought about it like, okay, this is a learning experience for me. In my head, I just wanted to serve my boss. I wasn't even thinking about growing on a career ladder. That was never what was processing in my head. I just enjoyed being around her. I didn't think about toxic environments, like how you all think about it now. Anyway, yeah, thoughts. Biba said, I have worked in a toxic environment, but I don't think I managed it well. I would like to share, or would you like people to share their thoughts with you?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, Bibs.
So, can I share quickly so that I can just get people's input and learn?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I used to work for a company in the abroad. So the work dynamic is funny and is great in a way. It's great in the sense that she would always bring something new to learn about. So I graduated from content creating, social media management to product management, because she would just come in like, this is the next thing we're working on. This is the next project. Learn about it. She would bring someone that I could work with, that I would learn from, and then just be given tasks. And I really loved it because it was challenging. I was always learning something and I love to learn. However, what makes it toxic is that the company was based in abroad, but she was paying in Naira. And she was paying below like what should be earned. So I didn't see it that way at the time because I felt since I'm learning, it's just a good balance. And I also had another job. So it started to become a problem when she would just ghost for like 3 months. No pay. I would continue doing the work. She would be seen and just dropping notes here and there. Anytime I try to have a conversation, she'd be like, "Oh, I'm so busy, I'm so busy." And then after 3 months of ghosting, she will come and she'll be like, "How can you? I can't imagine working without pay. And you you're working without pay. It's not right, it's not this, it's like you're doing the job. The clients have not paid." And I'm like, okay. She would probably half, pay some, and then ghost again for another 6 weeks. I mean, for the entire 2 years that I was with her, it kept on going on and on and on like that. And even sometime last year, she came with a new project again, managing some people in product management, this one, that one, so just manage them. And so we tried working September, October, November. And then she ghosted during November, December. Like she was just gone from even like October. And it was in that decision I made up my mind that, okay, I'm just going to leave this work because you can't just continue to, and it happens with other people that she works with. The thing is, she acts as if she wants to pay, but then she will not pay. So I left. Was there something that I could have done differently? Because at one time I tried to talk to her that I feel like, and sometimes she will just leave the task that has been done with no feedback or comments. And then after like 3 weeks, she'll just come and, and ask that we do it again because something was wrong. But then you've already done the thing that she's asking for. So eventually I just told her that, I wanted to keep and focus on other things. So I was really itching during the course of working with her to actually address that issue. Like, why are you not paying me? Because in December, she was owing me 3 months and then she paid for only 1 month and she wasn't even mentioning the 3 months, that the other 2 months, and it was at the end of the year. So yeah, I feel that's toxic. Am I wrong?
So this one, if there was a body in Nigeria that you could report employer mismanagement, you're like, oh yeah, she needs to be sued. That one is just totally off, because yeah, that's not okay at all. That's not okay at all. I know that here we're speaking about is all career based, and yeah, I know that on the flip side there are some bosses that can actually not be okay. So this is not okay at all. And it's great that you took the decision to leave. If that you had plenty energy, probably you would have just drafted one letter and just sued her or something. I'm just joking, or not. But yeah, that's not the right place to work at. You know that you're putting in the work, you know that you want to, just work, and your employer is not at least pay the salary now, even if you don't want to answer my questions, right? That's not okay at all. Oge said in a comment that I think there are difficult situations or situations that are not great, and it doesn't mean it's toxic. But there are people and places that are really bad, like Bieber's last words. They have your esteem, they provide feedback in the most horrible way, and it's consistently so. Not one of us sometimes, those places or people are toxic. Yeah. Motupa says, I don't used to play with my own salary because I know I work. I thought about my own experience as challenging as opposed to toxic. I had a boss that nothing you did was ever enough for her or appreciated. I was head of productions, but there was only one other staff. I just saw it as a challenge to keep trying my best, and I gave myself a timeline that I wasn't gonna stay and learn at that place. After which, I was going to stay and learn at that place, after which I move. But to be honest, I did learn a lot, like managing multiple diverse clients and events at once. Yes, I said Isaac. Israel also said that there are toxic behaviors and there are terrible people at work. Type of thing that you know how they say, let's only the Yoruba demons meet guys, meet Yoruba demons girls. Let it be like that. Let the bad boys meet the bad employees. Let's allow the good people to work with the good people. But like Pidam said this morning, I know it's not related, but he said that sometimes you need a little bit of tension, right? Something to just pull your head sometimes, right? So that you just learn, a nice challenge. All right. So we're almost entering into 3 p.m., but I want us to close very, very, very strong. So I need all of you to share one or two things that you are taking out of this session this afternoon. If you, wait, my camera is not on. If you in your mind and in reality, you know that indeed you are the person, how does PLT's event go? What's the title? The woman that people can't stop talking about. Let's twist that a little bit as an employee. You want to be that, total package. No, the other one. Women that we can't stop talking about. Forgive me. But if you know that you want to be that employee that your boss cannot stop, what am I saying? Talking about, you know what I'm saying? Put in the chat box, what is that one thing, two things that I'm taking out of this session? What is it that I'm going to learn, to relearn, undo? What is that thing that I'm going to do as soon as I get back to work tomorrow? No, today, tomorrow. Tell me in the chat box. Let's do this quickly. Yes, thank you. Okay, how to be a lady we can't stop talking about. How to be that employee that the boss can't stop talking about. And you know that it is possible. It is possible. All right, let us go in the chat box quickly. I don't want us to enter into 3 p.m. What is that one thing that you're taking home with you? It can be two things, three things, but we want to know that you have learned something. If not, Modupe and Bukola Idehe would have to come back to retake the class. And if they have to do, you have to pay, pay some money. But let us know in the chat box, what is your take home today? Let's go quickly. I wish I could play some music, but I ain't got some music. But let's keep going. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go. Come on. Ogechuku Ofili. She learned that good work must be consistent across board, not just in few places, but in all places. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Can we have someone else share? What is your take home? Are you that staff? Are you that employee that people really do not send? Are you that person that your boss honestly can't stop talking about? Is that indispensable employee really your tagline? Biba said, I'm going to create KPIs and reiterate the vision to my team consistently. Awesome. So you're the boss in this picture. All right. Anyone have something that they learned? FM. Hi, hey. I hope I'm saying your name right. Princess. No, Princess was the answer question. Anything that you learned today, please let us know in the chat box. And while we're gathering our thoughts for us to round up, we have 3 minutes. Okay. Iman Chris said, your work must speak. Focus on areas your leadership really values. 3, do the eye service and is that what you said? Do high service, not eye service. Yeah. Okay, Jim says, keep records, set them straight immediately. I mean, use wisdom. Don't go and shout at your guy or talk to them like, I do not do that. No, not that energy. Be tactful, yeah, when approaching issues with senior management and act on their instruction first. So basically, give feedback from obedience. You are light, and light is strategically positioned on top. Go for high service. Yes. Adeleke Isaac says, provide value, properly position the value provided. And lastly, pay attention to the little things that contribute to the progress. Awesome. FM says, I learned that no matter the situation of the workplace, do your job well. Awesome. Israel said, my visibility at workplace is my responsibility. It cannot be outsourced. I love that. I love that. Thank you all so much for being a part of this interactive session. It was a great time. Wait, let me read Jason's comments before we close. Jason says, I need to remain diligent with my work on any platform to grow, because being an indispensable employee is all about seeing yourself as one who is selling his or her skills, values, and experiences. Awesome. Thank you all for being a part of, give me 1 second. One second, my bosses are talking to me in the back. Let's see what they want. Okay. Thank you all for being a part of this afternoon session. Thank you for joining on YouTube and here on Zoom. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for making it as interesting as possible. I had a great time. I hope that you did as well. And I'm praying that all of the things that we have learned together, you're really carrying it to your workplace. And we know that as believers, these things have to speak everywhere. It should speak in your workplace. It should speak in your service in God's house. All right. Thank you all for joining. But I have one surprise for one person. We're about to do a giveaway to the most interactive person in this session. Israel, what's this thing? Your picture is interesting. We're about to give something to somebody that was super interactive in this session. And the reason why we're going to do this to this person or do this for this person asked questions. This person answered questions. This person was liking things and laughing. Paul, Apostle Paul. We already said it, so that we're going to do giveaways. All right, so we have a 10,000 Naira cash giveaway to an awesome person that has been super interactive this afternoon. The name of this session was Interactive Session, and this person was actually very interactive. So, drum rolls with Jesus' joy. Can we give a round of applause to the most interactive person in this day one afternoon session of King's Business Career Expo 5.0. Drum rolls, drum rolls, drum rolls. Come on, guys. Clap, 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 clap. The winner is. If we're not clapping, the winner is Ogachukwu Ophili. Congratulations, Oge. And we have plenty of reasons why you're the winner. You asked questions. We saw you everywhere in the comment section. So congratulations. See us in the future for your winnings. All right, people. See you in the evening for tonight's session. Oh, wait, is there something I'm missing? No. Yeah, see us in the group for the next session. Thank you so much. God bless you. Remember that you can be an indispensable employee. With God's strength, God's wisdom, you can be all that you can be. Hallelujah. All right, bye all. Have a great afternoon. See you later.